I work as a nurse assistant in the emergency department, and I had an experience with a patient a few weeks ago that's really stuck with me. My patient was schizophrenic and he was becoming anxious. We did our best to keep him calm, but unfortunately, my patient stood up and he put his head through a wall. Luckily, he was okay. We were able to calm him down, and the situation was handled to the best of its ability. When I asked my patient why he did what he did, he said that the voices in his head were telling him to kill me, and he didn't want to listen to them. This situation left me with fear and hopelessness that I've never experienced before. In a study done by the Elsevier Public Health Emergency Collection, it stated that women with intermediate professional licenses were associated with higher depression and anxiety. In the same study, it showed that nurses specifically felt more anxious and nervous compared to other healthcare professionals. When we graduate from the school, we run the risk of falling into that statistic. Being in mental health, in healthcare can cause severe mental health strain, and it is important for us to realize when the signs and symptoms occur, how to cope with them, and resources that provide additional help if needed. Beginning with the signs of mental strain is burnout. Especially now amidst the COVID-19 crisis, nurses, healthcare providers are working excessive hours. They're going through extreme exhaustion. They're feeling overwhelmed, lack of motivation, and all of this can lead to depression. Another thing that I don't think a lot of people realize that we experience is secondary traumatic stress. This occurs from us experiencing another person's traumatic experience and the empathy that we feel and the feeling of helplessness if we cannot help the situation. That itself will lead to depression and anxiety. And then finally, compassion fatigue, which is a combination of the burnout and secondary traumatic stress. Recognizing these signs and symptoms of mental strain are important, but learning how to cope with them is the next step. We can start by doing our best to stay physically healthy, eating well, exercising, getting on a normal sleep schedule. I know that's not always easy, especially for those who have young children at home, but finding a normal REM cycle will help you wake up with less agitation, less feelings of tiredness, so that way you can start your day to the best of your ability. And the same goes with exercising and eating healthy. Something else that we can do are unwinding with activities that we enjoy, whether it's reading or singing or dancing or just spending time with your family outside of the workplace. These are extremely important, so that way your mind is not always in the place of work, and how you can help others. You need to be able to help yourself if you can help other people. And then finally, mindfulness techniques such as meditation or breathing exercises. This will help lower your heart rate, lower your respiratory rate. It'll help you calm down if you're in a situation of high stress. And then there are just times when you do all of those things and you still feel so overwhelmed and stressed. And in situations like that is when we need additional resources. That could be communicating with your coworkers, your family, and your friends about experienced stress. Your coworkers especially can be a really great outlet in this situation because they know exactly what you're experiencing. They go through what you go through on a day-to-day basis in the workplace. So having a buddy system where you're accountable for someone and they're accountable for you can really help combat those feelings of depression and anxiety and hopelessness and being overwhelmed. And then finally, there's always available hotlines. There's the disaster distress hotline. There's the suicide hotline. If you need to speak with anybody regarding the problems that you're experiencing, you need to do so. I think a lot of people place a stigma on receiving counseling or therapy. They think they don't need it. But if you're becoming overwhelmed and stressed, finding those resources are going to help you tremendously. There are times when this field is going to push us to our limits, but recognizing the signs of stress, using healthy coping mechanisms, and accessing professional resources will give us the help that we need to get through this. Like my sweatshirt says, mental health matters. And at the end of the day, we can't keep other people healthy if we ourselves are not healthy.